And then, out in suburbia, unlike New York City where you now have mayoral control, but they're not having figured out how to do a good job of this yet either, you have another world. It's called education. It's a third world. Education is a wholly separate world from health and human services and from police and law enforcement. And if you look at the test scores, and you guys probably saw it as you grew up, and the adults in here saw it as they grew up, you see that children, generally, no matter where the school district is, no matter the quality of the school district or the quality of the school environment, or even the test scores over a long term, kids generally do well up until about 3rd or 4th grade in their standardized testing. But between 4th grade and 8th grade in problem school districts, you see the test scores fall off the face of the earth. You see dramatic problems start to emerge during that time from 4th grade to 8th grade. Now in Nassau County, we've got 10 of the top 100 schools in the United States of America. Unlike New York City where it's all one school district, we have a bunch of little school districts, 56 school districts. And it's a terrible system to tell you the way it's all broken up. And it's too expensive. But we have some great school districts, 10 of the top 100 in the country. But we also have 2 of the most troubled school districts in New York State. Nassau County is very segregated, pockets of poverty that have existed for a long time. And the Roosevelt School District and the Hempstead School District are 2 troubled school districts. Well, the Roosevelt School District has 2,900 children in the school district. It was taken over by the state 10 years ago. They were infusing a lot of money into the place, trying to help the place out. And I've been trying to say, and I don't run the schools as county executive. I do the police and I do the health and human services, but I don't run the schools. But I've been trying to get involved with the Roosevelt School District. I've been studying, looking at it for the past 2 or 3 years. Those 2,900 children in the Roosevelt School District have a lot higher volume of problems than they do in other school districts. The same type of problems, but the volume of problems are much higher. There's much higher incidences of poverty, more kids on foster care, more incidents of domestic violence in the household, more incidents of drug and alcohol or mental health issues, or different types of problems. In the school district with 2,900 students, there are 5 separate buildings, and there are only 5 guidance counselors, 5 social workers, and 5 school psychologists throughout the entire system for the 2,900 kids. And some anecdotally, people have said to me, well, 75% of the kids in the Roosevelt School District are bringing into school with them every day anger issues or depression issues or some problem they're facing. There's no way that those 15 people, the guidance counselors, the social workers, and school psychologists, can deal with all those volumes of problems. And even if you double the number of social workers, and double the number of school psychologists, and double the number of guidance counselors, you still wouldn't have enough people to deal with the volume of problems that exist. Well, the answer to the problem, I believe, is to look at all these other worlds that exist. You have the law enforcement world here, you have the health and human services world, you have the education world here. How can you get this billions of dollars worth of not-for-profit agencies and government agencies, and federal and state and local agencies, to help the kids in the school district? Right now, they're not interoperable. They're not working with each other. They don't work across lines. Sure, the not-for-profit agency will show up and they'll do a play or they'll do a health fair or they'll do something for one day. But there's no constant interoperability. So that when that 4th grade kid, or even sooner, starts to miss class, or another kid starts to act out and gets in a fight, or another kid is falling asleep in class every day, or a kid doesn't show up for class, or their grades are dropping off, they're not dressing well. When you start to see a problem emerge with a young person, that's not related to that young person directly themselves, or their ability, or their potential, but related to some social issue that they're dealing with coming from their home environment. How can we get the existing billions of dollars worth of health and human service agencies to work more closely with the school district, so that that child, and therefore that child's family, accesses all the existing programs that are out there, whether it's mental health counseling, or it's drug and alcohol counseling, or it's food stamps, or it's shelter or housing, or something to make that child's life more secure, and that family's life more secure, so that the student and the teachers can focus on teaching the kids, and the kids can focus on learning. You have all these agencies that exist. The problem is, because of a lack of interoperability, That student doesn't show up until much later in life, in an emergency situation, showing up at the front door of some government agency, or showing up at the front door of some not-for-profit, or showing up with some connection with the legal system or law enforcement or some trouble they got in, or shows up in some emergency situation to try and access that help. When in reality, if they got the help, if they got the casework or the social work or the intervention to help the family and the child when they were younger, everybody says you better educate a child instead of paying for a jail cell later on. If they had gotten that assistance earlier on, they would not have resulted in seeing their test grades drop from 4th grade to 8th grade, and then see a continuing decline that takes place after that throughout the person's life that ultimately ends up entangled in the law enforcement system. It's better to educate a child instead of paying for a jail cell later on. For us to solve the problems of the world, we have to move beyond the speech-making of just saying, we should do this, we should do that. We need to figure out what's the reason for the problem. We need to understand what's causing the problem in the first place. And then we need young people like yourselves to use your studies, to use the great education that you're going to get here at your college or wherever you decide to pursue your education, and use the academic culture that exists in this environment, and figure out how to identify what's causing the problem, and then work to solve the problem. It's not enough just to make this speech and get everybody all whipped up. You've got to put things in place that help us solve the problem. In Nassau County, one of the things that I'm working on, in addition to this Roosevelt School District issue, which involves, if the school district sees a kid with a problem, they refer it to one central location where we have a case management and a database system. And the job of the Family Support Center is going to be to refer that child and family to an agency that's now going to be responsible for that child and family, to help them navigate all the bureaucratic systems, to access all the different types of help that they can get. Instead of just saying they're going to provide one service, they're going to say, no, I'm going to be responsible for you and help you navigate the system and get all the services you need. In Nassau County, we also created a thing called No Wrong Door. If you show up at one building, you will access all the health and human service agencies we have. Instead of just showing up for an emergency welfare payment, or a homeless shelter payment, or a Medicaid application, or something like that, we want to know, is there a drug or alcohol problem in the family? Is there a mental health issue going on there? Are you a veteran that maybe is eligible for elder services, or maybe suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder? Are you a senior citizen? Is there some other issue going on in your family's life that brings you here for this emergency help? And then try to get to the root of the problem so you can actually solve the problem, or help solve the problem. And the good thing about it is while you're also helping people, you end up saving money in the long run as well. And instead of just warehousing people and waiting for their problems to get worse and worse, you actually fix the problem and save money in the process. So I'm counting on all of you to get a good education, whatever it may be. It could be in any single field. It could be journalism, or it could be nursing, or it could be pharmaceuticals, or something else altogether. It'll always matter that you're interoperable with the rest of the world. Now, that's the challenge of life that we all have. We all need to be connected to each other. We all need to be working with each other. We all need to get out of our little world that we're in and recognize we're part of a much larger community. That we can help solve the problems that exist in the world if we identify what the problem is and then do the work that's necessary to solve the problem. Thank you very much. Good luck.